ஏர்போர்ட் ரோட்டில் கொஞ்சம் நடக்க போகுது. அதே வார்சாவில் தமிழர் விழவு அப்படின்ற பேரில் போலந்து தமிழ்ச்சங்கம் நடத்துகிற மாபெரும் பொங்கல் திருவிழா வரப்போகிற ஜனவரி 14 ஏர்போர்ட் ரோட்டில் கொஞ்சம் நடக்க போகுது. அதே
கொஞ்சம் அங்கே பாரு கண்ணா.
வணக்கம் மக்களே, நம்ம போலந்து தமிழ்ச்சங்கம் இந்த ஆண்டு தீபாவளி திருநாளை மிக பிரம்மாண்டமாக உங்கள் வார்சா நகரை ஏற்பாடு பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. 9th நவம்பர் அட் ஓசியர் போகு மாலை 4 மணிலேருந்து இரவு 11 மணி வரைக்கும் அட்டகாசமாக செலிப்ரேட் பண்ண போகிறோம். உங்கள் கரிக்கிங் ரெஸ்டாரண்ட் தென்னிந்திய பாரம்பரிய உணவை பரிமாற போகிறாங்க. குடும்பத்தோட உங்கள் நண்பர்களோட வாங்க, எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து தீபாவளியை மிக அட்டகாசமாக கொண்டாடலாம்.
கண்டிப்பாக
இப்போ அவருக்கு வந்து வீடு இல்லை.
ஓகே,
கண்டிப்பாக இப்போ அவருக்கு வந்து வீடு இல்லை.
ஓகே,
அவர் வந்து
தங்குறாரு ஒரு
ரயில்வே ஸ்டேஷன்ல தங்கியிருக்காரு. ஒரு நாளைக்கு என்னென்ன, ஒரு நாளைக்கு ஒரு 10 பேர் பாக்குறாங்கன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். 20 ஜலாட்டி ஒரு ஆள் கொடுத்தாலும் 200 ஜலாட்டி ஆயிடுச்சு. பர் மந்த் ஒரு 6,000 ஜலாட்டி ஆயிடுச்சு. ஃபோன் பண்ணியும் கேட்குறாங்க, நீங்க வந்து கொஞ்சம் வந்து நீங்க வந்து தவறான ஒருத்தவருக்கு வந்து ஹெல்ப் பண்ணிட்டீங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. பட்
போலியான ஏஜென்ட்டுகளால் ஏமாற்றப்பட்டார் அப்படின்ற ஒரு வார்த்தையை நான் பார்த்தேன். எங்களுக்கு உறுதியளிக்கப்பட்ட வேலை கிடைக்குமா, உறுதியளிக்கப்பட்ட சம்பளம் கிடைக்குமா, இந்த ஏஜென்சி சரியா தப்பா?
நம்ம தமிழ்நாட்டில் இருக்கிற அந்த ஏஜென்சி உண்மையான ஏஜென்சியா இல்லை போலியா? ஓகே, அவங்களுக்கு அவங்க வரவங்களுக்கு கரெக்டான வேலை கிடைக்கிறது இல்லை.
ஆவரேஜாக ஒரு ஆள் வந்து இந்த அன்ஸ்கில்ட் லேபர் இங்கே வர்றதுக்கு வந்து ஒரு 5,000 to 6 லட்சம் வரைக்கும் செலவு பண்ணுறாங்க. உண்மையாக எனக்கு வந்து ஒர்க் பர்மிட் வாங்கி விசா எடுத்து நான் வந்து டிக்கெட் போட்டு போலந்து வர்றதுக்கு எனக்கு அவ்வளோ பணம் தேவைப்படுமா?
This is Europe, and here's Poland. Now let's polish up on its history, shall we? The beautiful land of Poland begins its story with a long cryptic prologue, centuries that are cloaked in conjecture and mystery. Things clear up a bit better as we enter the Bronze Age Lusatian culture. Farmers, hunters, herders, and highly skilled artisans. This here is a reconstructed fort from the 700s BC. A century after this, the Pomeranian culture popped up. It was similar to the Lusatians in many respects, though they had a curious habit of making faces for their urns. I mean, sure, why would you want a plain old urn when you could have one with a nose or ears on it? The next culture had some regrettably noseless pottery and declined around the same time Rome did. More mystery, more shadow. Then, around the 6th century, we find that a Slavic tribe known as the Polans had made the land their home. Over the years, the Polans grew stronger by incorporating other tribes into their fold. But the true birth of a recognizably Polish state occurred in the 900s with the rise of Mieszko I. He accepted Christianity, which would become the land's dominant faith, and set forth and conquered a large slice of land, which he left to his son Bolesław the Brave, who was crowned first king of Poland and further strengthened and expanded his domains. Naturally, troubles beset the region, and Bolesław III fought hard to regain lost lands. At his death, he divided Poland between his sons, hoping this would prevent their fighting for the throne. If only he'd seen a few of my videos, then he'd know that was never going to happen. That's right, the brothers immediately battled each other for more power, and Poland was disjointed for almost 200 years. During this fractured period, Duke Konrad here invited the German Teutonic Knights to help him deal with the Baltic Prussians up north. The Knights not only subdued the Prussians, but decided to stay and make their own state in the region. More on that later. Now, if the Polish lands were weakened by disunity, they were enfeebled further thanks to the Mongol invasion of 1240. After this, the Mongols invaded again and slaughtered and enslaved, and then they invaded once more, but this time they weren't so fortunate in their objectives, as the Poles defeated them. Strenuous effort and sprinklings of luck saw Władysław the Short successfully begin the process of reunifying Poland. His son, Kazimierz the Great, was a builder and a reformer who expanded eastward in his conquests, championed education, and welcomed the settlement of Jews into his borders. Under Queen Jadwiga, Poland entered into a personal union with the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. After this new system update, the Teutonic Knights, long a dual thorn in the sides of Poland and Lithuania, became less of a threat. Naturally, conflict brewed between the rival states, and it escalated in 1410 into one of the biggest battles of the medieval era. The Battle of Grunwald saw the Polish and Lithuanians crush the Teutonic Knights, whose power and prestige was decisively diminished. Teutonic rule in Prussia became more and more resented, and this internal strife sparked the 13 Years' War, in which Poland was again triumphant. Meanwhile, Poland developed a political system that was, for its time, notably liberal and tolerant, and the 1500s saw the country enter a golden age of culture and scientific innovation. In 1569, Poland and Lithuania combined into a single state, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, which was one of the largest and strongest states in Europe. Now, since Russia was having a hard time back then, Poland decided to invade it, and the two countries have disliked each other ever since. There was also war with the Ottomans and war with Sweden, and of course all this belligerence sapped the Commonwealth of potency, and swathes of land were lost, from Prussian possessions to chunks of Ukraine. But this didn't stop Poland from saving the heartland of Europe in 1683 from Turkish invasion, when the great soldier king Jan Sobieski, with his great mustache, led his heavy cavalry down the Austrian hills to thrash the Ottomans in the Battle of Vienna. But this glorious victory did not halt Poland's inglorious decline. 1701 saw a ruinous Swedish invasion, and then a squabble over the throne, in which it became glaringly plain that Poland had simply become a pawn on the European chessboard for the bigger players, and Poland itself was checkmated in the late 1700s when it was entirely erased from the map, partitioned between Russia, Austria, and Prussia. Not even the heroic efforts of the great commander Tadeusz Kościuszko could free Poland from foreign occupation. In 1830, Poland tried to unshackle itself again, but the Russians stamped out their hopes in just under a year. So Poland tried again, and Prussia stopped them. So Poland tried again, then Russia beat them down as before. Finally, after World War I, a conflict in which nearly 500,000 Poles had died, Poland was restored as a nation once more. Meanwhile, the communist revolutionary Lenin had taken power in Russia, and he sought to expand westward and spread socialism further in Europe. Poland resisted, and of course it was war. And after Poland's extraordinary and unexpected victory at the Battle of Warsaw, Russia's ambitions were put on hold. Now, throughout the 1920s, Poland worked to fix itself up and modernize, and impressive improvements were made, despite the impact of the Great Depression. Then it was all ruined by two men who give mustaches a bad name, Mr. Hitler and Mr. Stalin. The invasion of Poland kicked off World War II, and few countries had a worse time of it. Poland was split between Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia, and the Soviets set about slaughtering Poles, and the Nazis set about slaughtering Poles, around 2 million of them, and Hitler ended up shoving the Soviets out of Poland in Operation Barbarossa. Nazi occupation devastated Poland's large Jewish population, most of whom were disposed of. But despite the omnipresent tragedy and horror, the Polish resistance never lost hope and continued to fight, even after the huge Warsaw Uprising, when the Germans pretty much destroyed the entire city in revenge, and untold thousands of civilians were executed. Now, as the German position on the Eastern Front faltered, the Soviet Red Army pushed them further and further back, until the Soviets took control. After the war, Stalin made sure Poland adopted a communist government, and anti-communist resistance fighters operated into the 1950s. Thankfully, the oppressiveness subsided over time, and living conditions improved, though economic migraines were habitual. Protests over food prices and more of the same ilk preceded a spirit of change for Poland embodied in Polish Cardinal Karol Wojtyła, who became Pope John Paul II in 1978. Poles demanding change found a resounding voice in Lech Wałęsa, leader of the independent trade union Solidarity. Change was demanded, and change was attained, and communism collapsed, and in 1990, Wałęsa was elected president. Poland later joined NATO and the EU, and the country today possesses a very high level of human development, high quality of life, and one of the largest economies in Europe, and, impressively, has managed, in spite of its troubled history, to give so much to the world. Great composers and musicians, excellent writers, brilliant filmmakers, superb scientists, and sensational sportspersons. And their food's delicious. So that's it for Poland, and that's all from me for now. Papa!
सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के दौरान जब हिटलर ने पोलैंड को इन्वेड किया तब लाखों लोग अपने देश से जुदा हो गए। बहुत सी औरतों और बच्चों को देश छोड़कर भागना पड़ा रेफ्यूज लेने के लिए। अनफॉर्चुनेटली कई देशों ने उन्हें एज रेफ्यूजीज लेने से मना कर दिया, लेकिन इंडिया में एक इंसान थे जो उनकी मदद करने पहुंचे। नवानगर के महाराजा दिग्विजय सिंह जी रणजीत सिंह जी जडेजा। ये एक महाराजा थे एक प्रिंसली स्टेट के, नवानगर, जो गल्फ ऑफ कच्छ पर मौजूद थी। इन्होंने हजारों पोलिश बच्चों के लिए अपने दरवाजे खोले और उनसे कहा, अपने आप को अब ऑर्फन्स मत समझो, अब आप सब नवानगरी हो और मैं आप सबका बापू हूं, यानी आपका पिता। इन्होंने अपने महल में इन पोलिश बच्चों के लिए एक छोटा सा स्कूल भी बनवाया जिसमें एक स्पेशल पोलिश लाइब्रेरी थी, जिसमें पोलिश भाषा में किताबें थी ताकि ये बच्चे अपनी मदर टंग ना भूलें। आज के दिन पोलैंड के अंदर एक वॉर्सो शहर है, वहां पर एक चौक इनके नाम पर रखा गया है। उस स्क्वायर का नाम है द स्क्वायर ऑफ गुड महाराजा। पोलिश में यहां पर लिखा गया है। ये बेसिकली पोलिश सरकार ने इन महाराजा को ट्रिब्यूट देने के लिए ये बनाया। नीचे सब्सक्राइब का बटन दबाइए ऐसे ही और इन्फॉर्मेटिव वीडियोस देखने के लिए। धन्यवाद।
We're quick to pick up the story of a small Hindu group in India which organized a gathering in which the participants consumed cow urine as a measure to increase their body's immunity to fight off any potential encounter with the coronavirus. Quite rapidly, this became a global story as the media outlets from across the world decided to give this incident a lot of exposure. These types of media exposures can easily bring the global attention to those groups or peoples who are yet to properly follow the science that the modern society endorses. But as a responsible global community, should we just stop here? Or should we also try to help and reach out to other groups whose practices are also not in sync with the best available science of today? Why should we be only concerned about the Hindu community? Isn't it unfair to other communities or groups which also deserve to benefit from such media exposure? Shouldn't we urge the global media to provide an equal opportunity to other communities to get modernized? For example, the World Health Organization has warned against consuming camel urine, but the consumption of camel urine for its medicinal purposes is still a common practice in many nations. What is even more disturbing is that camel urine is actually linked to the spread of a disease known as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus, which was first identified in Saudi Arabia in 2012. According to WHO, the MERS virus has been identified in dromedary camels in several countries, including Egypt, Oman, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Born in Saudi Arabia, this disease even took the lives of many in South Korea. Even the coronavirus pandemic appears to have worsened because of some religious practices. Laura Spinney, who is a British science journalist, notes, the South Korean cluster of COVID-19 seems to have spread via churches, while pilgrims in Iran have posted videos of themselves defiantly licking the Fatima Masume shrine in the city of Qom. On the other hand, in America, televangelist Kenneth Copeland is miraculously healing his viewers of the coronavirus through their televisions, and in various churches across the world, magical healing sessions are organized regularly. Yes, in every religion, there are many behaviors and rituals that appear to be completely unscientific. Additionally, it should also be understood that the traditional medicinal system cannot always sync with the modern medicine, but as far as animal urine is concerned, modern medicine has accepted it too. A good example of this is the estrogen replacement drug Premarin, which is made from horse urine. But can we always ensure that science is not lying to us? If some religious people are blind about their faith, then many science lovers are also blind about science. In 2012, the British multinational pharmaceutical company GlaxoSmithKline was fined $3 billion after it admitted to encouraging the prescription of unsuitable antidepressants to children and bribing doctors. The company even that could even help you stop smoking, causing havoc in the lives of innocent children who didn't even need to go on these medications. Another antidepressant drug sold to adults was packaged as a wonder drug that could even help you stop smoking, stay happy, and lose weight. This case was termed as the largest case of healthcare fraud in the American history. Now, give it a thought. The victims of this healthcare fraud were just following science, weren't they? In case you want to broaden your perspective on science and scientific misconduct, I recommend you this episode, which is already available in public domain. Yes, we want to be progressive, and some of us even ridicule old traditions and traditional lifestyles, but have we done enough to discourage our own behaviors which are not backed by science? Have we done enough to educate our modern women about FASD? Have we told them what the best available science says about drinking alcohol during pregnancy? Have we done enough to discourage underage drinking that is linked to various types of crimes and sexual risky behaviors? Have we also realized that we are also creating a type of societal pressure on others to follow our ways and choices which are not even backed by science? Yes, we are rightfully concerned about some unscientific traditional practices as well as the spread of coronavirus. But have we done enough to discourage promiscuous behavior and casual dating that leads to multiple partners and the spreading of all sorts of viruses and infections? Don't we know that the best available science clearly says that no amount of protection can guarantee safe sex? Yes, it may be easy to criticize people, cultures and nations, but it is very difficult to do a sincere self-introspection. Keeping that in mind, I have published a series of multiple episodes that should help the viewers in broadening their perspective.